Hi everyone, it's David Beard. I'm the CRM principal for Sage CRM. I'm based in London, as you can probably tell, and I work worldwide to support the education and training for the Sage CRM product, particularly on the business side about helping people make a success of CRM in their business, in whatever they do. So this session, I'm going to focus on the first steps you might take towards investigating, planning for, and implementing Sage CRM. You don't buy a CRM product every day. We live and breathe it, of course. And so this session is really to give you some pointers, some tips, some ideas, some templates, perhaps, to help you think about how you would plan for and where to start with your Sage CRM implementation. Don't get hung up on the term CRM, because this isn't an IT buy. This isn't a technology buy. Sure, we'd love you to buy Sage CRM, but there are lots of good tools in the market. We're just one of them. The important message I want to give you here and right through the rest of the 15 minutes is, if you're calling this a digital transformation, or investing in technology typically as a digital transformation, it isn't really about the technologies, is it? The strength of digital technologies, as a survey did recently that I've used for a number of presentations, is how you put them to use, how you integrate them and transform your business to do the things you need to do smarter and faster. So I guess the question I'm posing to you, and hopefully some ideas I'll give you in return, is, does your organization have a clear strategy that goes just beyond dropping a box of technology in, training people up, and telling them to get on with it? So a lot of this is around this idea of strategy, culture, and leadership. And strategy, again, borrowing some material from consultancy, really should drive and inform the way you buy and implement projects and products. And equally, those products and projects should also loop back around to update, inform, and improve the way your business strategy works. To drop a technology in and just let it do its thing, I think, is a missed opportunity. And so how do you articulate a CRM strategy in your business? And again, if you've not done this before, this is new territory. I understand that. So let me give you a couple of frames to work through, and there'll be 3 or 4 main concepts here. And because we'll be recording all this, you can go back and rewatch again later. I believe any business is in business, no matter what they do, no matter what they sell, who they sell it to, where they do it. They go through 3 phases with their own customers. They work out a way to attract them. They work out a way to sell the thing to them, and then a way to look after the customers. And so the idea I'm putting forward here is, how do you take these ideas to investigate where the pitfalls are, the holes in your plans, possible feedback you've had from your customers about the way you do sell or service, and how do you make those into things that you'd like to improve through measurable inputs or measurable returns, so that you have defined phases of success that support these 3 parts of your business and deliver you, and are aligned to, hopefully, your business's return on investment. Obviously, I would love you to buy the product, benchmark the before and after, and come back to us through our resellers in +1 year and say, do you know what? I think we've shaved 10% off our costs to go to market in marketing, or we've managed to sell 50% more with the same amount of people. Because that, to us, is golden. That's what we build this software for. This idea I had before about this 3 ways most companies go through the same 3 processes, right? To find, sell to, and look after business. To give you another 3 ways of doing things, this is something that was taught to me many, many years ago when I was in a project management role, way before this company. When we were looking to assign the weighting and the priority orders of whether a particular task occurred or was put into a project. And the person who taught this to me, seasoned project manager that he was, said, unless you can prove to me that the thing you want to put in the project either increases revenue, avoids costs, or improves service, I'm not putting it in. And that was his baseline. That was his benchmark, his what's the expression, tools on the table? Something like that. Yes. Can you prove to me something will do one of these 3 things? Because as a business, that's what I should be aiming at. Make more money, strip the cost out of it, or improve the way it services our customers. And I think that was a really powerful point to make. And it's something, obviously, I use in my own work these days as well. So taking those three ideas, how you acquire, sell to, and look after, and how you would benchmark or create priorities based on increasing revenue, avoiding cost, improving service, how should you approach buying CRM? And again, another model I think would be useful. And you can pick and choose from all of these, obviously, or discard one because two of them are better than three of them, whatever. It's up to you. This is another one I found was very, very interesting. This idea that you can approach CRM from a strategic standpoint, or indeed just an analytical standpoint. And where I've seen this hit the road with our customers is some customers come to us looking to solve a particular problem in a particular department. They need a forecasting tool or a sales management tool. That's one example. And so that is probably an operational need. So that sits in the middle of the stack here. This idea that you've got an operational need to manage data better, to look after a sales team, to help them forecast or something like that. But equally, we have other people that come to us with a real high-level strategic need. They've got disparate systems. Sure, they have an accounting system perhaps, but then there are pots of spreadsheets, Outlook folders, file shares, specialist system for something or other in the back office. And they want to bring it all together because they recognize that even though they might capture the data, it's a bit all over the place, doesn't really help them make streamlined or important decisions without a lot of work. And people aren't that trustworthy of what they read in one system versus another. So this high level supporting the business and the business goals at the very top. And so the investment in a tool like Sage CRM versus like a simple contact management tool makes a lot of sense here. More sense, I should say, because you're getting a tool that allows people to deliver marketing capability and tools, sales capability and tools, and service capability and tools to their entire company. And as I mentioned earlier, most companies do that in some fashion. They might be called different things, but they certainly do it. And so this might be a useful framing device for you in your business to understand where you're coming in. And you might start at one place and go down to fix another problem, or indeed you might come into the middle and go up. We might start and come down. It really doesn't make any difference as long as you, I think, keep this framing in your mind about what you're trying to achieve. Quite a lot of people start with a particular operational need because they also want to prove the value of the software in action. And I think that's an important one. So let me give you some working examples of where a company might pick a particular feature set based on marketing, sales, and service in this example, and where they might come in. So you might say, I have a marketing need. I need to do much better campaign management in this online world. And you might come in at an analytical level and you just go, look, I just need a tool that everyone uses. Right now, I've got 3 people using 3 tools, and it's really difficult to join all the data up and make sense of it. So put everyone on one tool and have all your campaigns executed from one platform, one set of data, one set of reports to measure. That might be smart. But equally, it might make more sense to you to say, I want all my strategic campaigning for acquiring, new, selling to existing, or looking after service activity, all done within one tool. This strategic, everything I do, everything I say to my customers is done, excuse me, through one tool. And that's a good, valid thing as well. Coming at it from something else, maybe you're coming at this idea of you want to improve the way your data is coalesced, brought together, put into one place, the fabled 360-degree view. Now, you might come at that at an analytical level, the one at the bottom there. You just want to put all the data in one place to stop your teams having to hack around spreadsheets and spend 4, 5, 10 hours a week reformatting and making sense. So the analytical approach is everyone puts all the marketing data in one place, end of. But it could be at the strategic level. It's much more around, we are going to make sure the entire business pivots and uses everything data-wise and process-wise inside one tool. And that's a real strategic business generation, business-focused approach to doing things in one place, in one way. Improving customer experience is something people do a lot around using a strategic view. Maybe workflows is something you're big on. So increasingly, as consumers, we're used to being at the end of workflows from large book resellers, people like that, to make sure that the tools deliver the message when they should. The box will be with you tomorrow. Here's how to do a refund. These sorts of things. They're all workflows that are process and machine driven typically. So perhaps you want to recast your entire business to automate, to drive cost out, strip the cost away, avoid cost, as well as improving service. Or it's an analytical thing. You've got a methodology in a particular department that works well. You want to share that amongst other people. That could be an analytical approach. And so the workflow tool inside Sage CRM will help you do that. Perhaps it's about managing and monitoring data. Perhaps this is the idea that you want everyone to have that 360-degree view again. And you want it surfaced or put into head-up displays in the same format, different data, obviously, different types of data for different teams, but it's in the same format and importantly in the same place. So that everyone knows the CRM system is where we go to get the information we need versus hacking around a version of a spreadsheet down the hall, that sort of thing. And anywhere in between, so on the strategic, operational, analytical stack there. So, the important story here is this idea that we have great tools and great feature sets within the tool for doing CRM, for adding extra bits to it, taking the core and integrating to accounts, whatever. But the conversation you're having shouldn't start here. It shouldn't be starting on, does it have this feature? It should be starting on, what are we trying to do and at what level in that stack of strategy, operational, analytical? What dimensions are we measuring? Increasing revenue, avoiding cost, improving services, perhaps all three at once. And at what level are we trying to do it and for what department? That's where you start the conversation. That's what you're trying to focus on, how to increase revenue, avoid cost and improve service, to make measurable improvements so that you do come back to us and say, the software is fantastic. Could we have some more, please? So think about that in your business. Generally, how do you increase revenue, avoid cost, improve service? And take away from this, I hope you will anyway, this idea really, and ask your stakeholders as well as yourselves, how well do we do this sort of stuff? How well do we attract new business? How well do we sell products and services? And how well do we look after customers? And is there room for improvement? And it could be that you look at a process and go, well, printing out something 4 times and waiting 2 days for returning is not great. So let's fix that. It could also be that you do benchmarking with competitors that are in sort of your business or do a similar thing and look at the differences between the two, thinking how well you might do that. And then as you do that, drill down with your colleagues, stakeholders, etc., and look at some of the departments and figure out with open questions, what challenges have we got? And then drill down into sort of almost classic sales questioning, really. What's the problem here? How do you measure the impact? Are we spending 20% longer shipping something than we should? Do we have to hire an extra person in the warehouse, whereas we could automate it with a workflow? And so on. So drill into these specific questions down, down, down all the time, opening up with, talk to me about how you measure performance in this department, or tell me the process behind something, and then drilling into specifics. Tell me about that issue specifically. How often does it happen? Who does it impact? And how does it impact? And the how comes down to the dollars and cents, the euros, the pounds, the pesetas, whatever. Because at that point, you start to make sense of how big your problems are. And equally, I believe it makes it a lot easier for you as an interested party in your company looking to develop the technology to go to the people who invest, who write the checks for software and services and say, this is the size of the problem. And here is what I think we need to spend to fix it. And hopefully there's a good, healthy gap between the two, which means that people will sign that off. And in terms of where you start, typically it's sales type things. That's what we see in surveys around the world. People are looking for sales automation to begin with, and then they typically drop into what they call a grow phase, which is service and support. And some customers who really come out at a strategic level then tip to drop into things like knowledge management, which is getting better at data. What do we know about customers? What do we do and say in general interactions that we should keep and mine and use to inform the way we look after customers in the future? So think about all those things and think about them in the context of where you start, because you might want to start small, analytical, as I said earlier, and then move up into other things that are more operational. And good resellers, Cumulus of course being one of them, will build you an implementation package that suits the needs you have, but also help manage that risk and reward as well, because you don't want to overcook something before you're ready. So have a chat with Cumulus. I hope these framing devices are useful to get you thinking about where to take and how to take the first steps towards Sage CRM. Thanks for coming along. And goodbye for now.